and welcome to the Daily Space Weather, the main feature here at the Smash News Network, least busted Dave in news. We have the sun actually kind of chilling here in the past 24 hours. This is actually yesterday plus today's data. Likelihood of flares goes down a little bit. And most sunspots here are in the southern hemisphere. As you'll be able to see here on the intensity gram, looks like we're going to have at least 4 named sunspot groups today. A little bit of growth here. So this group here, I think that's actually a new one. That needs a name. Here is the colorized magnetogram. So I think there will be a new sunspot group showing up there. We'll get to the names here in a moment. First, if you're new to the channel, please take a moment to press like and subscribe. We're almost at 2,600 subscribers. Oh my God, we're ready to retire at those numbers. Holy crow, folks. Seriously, press like, press subscribe, press share. Leave us a comment. Thanks to everybody who has, the past 5+ years we've been making space weather videos. If you want to support the channel in ways besides pressing like and subscribe, become a member of the Smash Team at smashomash.com/Smash Team. You can join at the gold or silver level. There's also a bronze level. So check it out. Again, smashomash.com/Smash Team is the site where you'll find our subscription services. We replaced Patreon with our own website, which has superior capabilities. Thanks to everybody who's been supporting us via the Smash Team website. Today's featured product is our second bestseller. These products showing up here in order of best-selling. If you click the link below the video or on the homepage at smashomash.com, you'll find this, our merch shop. And our second bestseller is indeed, Do Not Pole Vault the Caldera. Don't come up with a permanent solution to a temporary problem, please. Don't pole vault the caldera. We need the views on YouTube. Our finest days lie ahead. I firmly believe in this. Our finest days lie ahead, folks. You may think civilization's going to collapse. I would tend to disagree. And many of you may wish civilization collapses. Unfortunately for you, most people do not wish civilization collapses. So I understand that all of the world's institutions have been undermined over the past about 2.5 years. But I would assure you that our finest days lie ahead. So if you're going to visit a volcanic caldera, leave your vault pole at home. Don't pole vault the caldera. And if you don't follow us on Twitch, thanks to our new followers over there on Twitch, by the way, we're on Twitch, we're on Twitter. It's twitch.tv/smashomash. Twitter.com/smashomash. If you don't have an account over on Twitter, get an account. You may see some things you don't see anyplace else. Our shares are for Twitter viewers. I'm aware of the pathetic censorship on the platform. Go get an account anyway. Hold Twitter themselves accountable. Links on the homepage to all of that. The homepage is smashomash.com. And welcome to the Neo-Renaissance. So visit the homepage, help us out with clicks, help us out with a like, a subscribe, a share, a comment, and help yourself out with a membership to SureMed. Links below the video to that, as well as on the homepage. Here's my personal link. It's an association membership. It's not insurance, although it does allow you to get some insurance through your SureMed membership, like dental, vision, hospital indemnity, accident insurance, even life insurance available there. So check it out again, links below the video as well as on the homepage at smashamash.com to enroll in the American Better Health Organization, also known as SureMed. Save all kinds of money on pharmacy, vitamins, labs, dental discounts, vision discounts. It also includes a virtual veterinarian, doctors by phone. If you've got some gaps, consider filling them with a SureMed Association membership. It'll help you save some cash. So let's get to volcanoes here. Shivaluch not identifiable in satellite imagery. Don't assume Shivaluch is not erupting. Luitolo is certainly erupting and producing a 9,000-foot plume of volcanic ash. Semeru exploding, flight level 140, a 14,000-foot ash plume from Semeru. Dukono, 7,000-foot ash column from Dukono. Continuous volcanic ash emissions there on the Isle of Halmahera. And headed down to South America, we've got in Colombia, Nevado de Ruiz exploding. 22,000-foot ash plume. Sangay exploding in Ecuador, 20,000-foot ash plume. And Sabancaya exploding in Peru. Flight level 240, it's a 24,000-foot ash plume. And once again, don't pole vault the caldera. Next, looking at seismicity, there's the 90-day bar graph. And we do have a minor uptick here, although the largest quake of the past 24 was only a 5.6. So quite a bit of activity there north of New Zealand, around places like Tonga. I'm just going to scroll up the list here. There was a 5.2 at near Papua New Guinea. And then some quakes here. A 5.6 at the Loyalty Islands. That one came in at 23:58, just a couple minutes before midnight Universal Time. And then only about 7 minutes later, a 5.3 there near the Kermadec Islands, north of New Zealand. Remember, folks, any earthquake could be a foreshock. And some of those areas around there have a tendency to produce tsunamis should a large earthquake happen. Here's a 5.2 south of Africa and a 5.1 at Indonesia. And let's continue on, getting back to space. So this is actually 1,600 angstroms from the SDO. And that's the past 48 hours. 1,600 angstroms is ionized carbon. And I would note the sudden brightening of these areas around sunspots. Some carbon being produced by nuclear fusion right there on the surface of the sun, right before your very eyes. In the realm of astronomy, we call everything heavier than helium metals. So that is, from an astronomical perspective, that is a heavy metal star. In the past 24 hours, the radio flux has dropped. It's now down to 131 solar flux units. And for you new viewers, the radio flux is emitted from the upper chromosphere and lower corona, right about that area where my pointer is. And it is directly proportional to sunspot number. So a little drop there in the radio flux since yesterday, now down to 131 solar flux units. A solar flux unit is equivalent to 10,000 joules of radio flux density. Next, a space weather enthusiast dashboard here, forecasting some geomagnetic unrest throughout the day today. So expecting a rather weak coronal hole high-speed stream. We don't see it here yet, but it could show up at any moment according to that NOAA forecast. Expecting geomagnetic unrest until the end of the day today on September 17th. At the moment, Earth's magnetic moment from space is looking pretty calm. This is the last 4 hours. The scale, magnetohydrodynamic pressure, nanopascals. Next Earth magnetic moment from the ground. This is changes to Earth's B field, geospace delta B. The B field is the field that goes through the magnet, this magnet being Earth. And only minor changes here happening. And like Earth's magnetic moment from space, Earth's magnetic moment from the ground movie here is the last 4 hours. Things quite calm. KP of 1 here at the moment. The planetary K index, a measurement of global geomagnetism. KP1 is the current condition. Geomagnetic calm. We can expect to see a significant uptick in the solar wind density sometime, I would say, later in the day today. At the moment, we've got a quite low density solar wind, a quite diffuse solar wind there at only 3.38 protons per cubic centimeter. Solar wind speed here kind of slow also at 352 kilometers per second. The rest of those bars fairly uneventful. Here are your GOES magnetometers. Pretty smooth here for the past 3 days. There's a 7-day chart just to show you at least one major variation. Last 3 days here, pretty calm. Next, looking at the polarity of the heliospheric current sheet. And it looks like the North Pole current sheet not quite here yet. Here's the last frame. So the Earth's magnetic field line there, it will snap into the North Pole current sheet within the next couple of hours, most likely. Keep in mind that data is almost 2 hours old when we stream the video, so Earth could already be in a North Pole current sheet. Here's our line of sight field plot showing the sun's B field in blue. And let's move to coronal holes. So coronal holes are great because they help to show us the progression of the solar cycle. They show us the solar polar field reversal process. And we've got South Pole coronal holes primarily here. And let's take a look at it from the SDO's perspective. Let me reinitialize that. So there's 211 angstroms from SDO. And those, again, are mostly South Pole coronal holes. Also 2 M-class flares in there, which we will get to momentarily. First, we'll look at sunspots. So we will have a new named group here. This sunspot's going to be known as 3104. That's grown significantly here in the past 24 hours, so that'll be something to watch. And did you know that you can see all kinds of data that we don't regularly show on the channel? On the SDO page, for example, you can look at the potential field surface source lines, like we're doing here. So there's the magnetogram with potential field surface source lines, and it shows the sunspot names on this image. That's the gray magnetogram. And this new sunspot, again, it'll be known as 3104. Here's the SDO intensitygram, and let's zoom in a little bit here. So we've got some great umbral growth there. That's yesterday plus today's data. New sunspot group forming here as well, I think. I think that's going to be known as a new group. So it may be 3104 and 3105. Oh, a new group up here too, for sure. So a little bit of increase there in sunspot activity. And let's take a look at the 1700 angstroms. This is just part of the extreme UV spectrum. Again, that's yesterday, September 16th, and today, September 17th, so far. Next, we'll talk about flaring. We've had two significant M-class flares there, including an M7.9 and an M6.1. So two significant flares there, not quite X-class. And here's 131 angstroms. Again, yesterday and today. And we'll also show 94 angstroms. Give that a minute to initialize as we pause for station identification. Welcome to the Smash News Network. Least busted name in news. We have had a minor ongoing proton event here. It's not enough to produce major radio blackouts. If you want to follow radio blackouts yourself, check out the D region absorption predictions on the Space Weather Prediction Center. It'll show you the modulation of the D region of the ionosphere when flares happen, as well as when relativistic particles find themselves locked into Earth's field-aligned currents at the poles. It looks like it's starting to subside here. At least all expectations are that it will soon. Next, we've got a star chart. And when I looked out the door this morning, I saw the Moon and Mars high up there right near the peak of their flight across the ecliptic, which is the yellow line depicted here on our sky map. That's from in-the-sky.org. Venus just rising over the horizon here in Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania, as Jupiter is moving into a setting mode in the west. Here's a solar system forecast for the next week. Venus pretty lonely there, all alone on the other side of the sun, as all 8 other planets are on this side. Here's the 1-week forecast. We've got about 8 days until new moon, and shout out to all my reverse werewolves. Next, we'll look at some coronagraphs. So here's yesterday. And there were indeed some coronal mass ejections there. Nothing earthly directed. And here's today. So far, only 19 frames there. And what the heck? Well, it's not playing anything, but let's take a look at Stereo A's perspective here. We've brought up the Stereo A difference imagery and the Stereo A coronagraph. So Stereo A located here at Lagrange 5. And for you new viewers out there, by the way, Lagrange point 1 is the gravitational equilibrium point where the SOHO-LASCO C2 and C3 are located. Also the The ACE and Discover measure the solar wind there about 1 million miles from Earth, around 4 lunar distances out, to be outside of Earth's magnetosphere. Anyway, here's the coronagraphs from Stereo A. It's the Stereo A coronagraph and Stereo A difference imagery on the right. And that is Venus, by the way. Some minor CMEs happening there. None of them are directed toward the Earth. The Earth would be off on this line right here. Someplace out here. So we are expecting a coronal hole high-speed stream to show up, but no coronal mass ejections headed our way at the moment. We may see some, however. We've got quite a few sunspots in the southern hemisphere and quite a few filaments. So you can see these dark absorption features. Those are filaments. Filaments in the northern hemisphere as well. Remember, we don't need to see sunspots or solar flares to see coronal mass ejections. They are separate phenomena. Separate phenomena. And next we've got the GOES 16 SUVI. It'll show you the last about 2.5 hours. This is what we usually stream on Twitch. We do have a large prominence down here in the southwest. And let's get into the bonus features segment here. Satellites community dashboard showing no charging hazards here. Smooth sailing for our satellites. There's the GOES electron flux. And you can expect to see this crater when and if a coronal hole high-speed stream arrives. Here's the NOAA forecast for relativistic electrons, and they nailed it for yesterday. There you go. Right on point there, the NOAA forecast. And there's the 1-year graph of the relativistic electrons to put it in context. We'll take a look at the F ionosphere layer, which has still got quite a few high-frequency anomalies happening. Here's the vibrational frequency. Millions of vibrations per second there, known as megahertz. It stopped playing because reasons. We'll let it play through. We'll show the anomalygram also. So this is anomaly in megahertz from the 30-day median. Again, quite a lot of high frequency anomalies rather happening all around the world here. Those high frequency anomalies in megahertz shown in blue. There's the latest image, 10 o'clock universal time. Ionogram, 10 o'clock universal time, anomalygram. And we're going to show the total electron content. Unfortunately, this imagery is still broken. We can't show you the full world view, but we can show you North America. So here's the North American total electron content. It's showing you the free electrons all the way from your GPS handset up to your GPS satellite. That satellite located at about 12,500 miles of altitude. And there's a standard deviation. And there's the anomalygram. I kind of like it because it's showing a little higher resolution over North America, so it's pretty cool. I'm sort of a fan. Next, the latest intensitygram and latest colorized magnetogram. Let's check out these new sunspots. So there are the sunspots and the fields. We're going to have two more named groups there. At least one more named group. And also this group here will get a name today. So a little increase there in sunspots. Mostly stable here, and it looks like all of the named groups are in the southern hemisphere. And let's bring up one more series of images here. We'll show Iron Star. 3 different species of ionized iron there, 335, 193, and 94 angstroms. And that is where the bonus features end, and where the meteorology segment begins. And it looks like this tropical system is largely going to be a rain event. However, one of the issues is that the forecast shows about 20 inches of rain on Dominica. So there's the current state of affairs, a bunch of warm water there. East of the Caribbean, the eastern Caribbean. See all that yellow? That's all sea surface temperature anomaly, very warm waters. But the good news is that the wind is not all that strong. So it's going to be primarily a rain event, sort of as we forecasted. The Saharan dust and dry mass of air not helping to speed up that convection process there. So it's better than wind and extreme rain. And a bit of activity in the West Pacific there also. So this typhoon, quite a lot more serious. There's certainly hurricane force winds there. As you can see there, south of Japan. Here are the jet streams of the eastern world. Jet streams of the Americas. Surface winds. Surface winds of the central world. And jet streams of Europe, Africa, and Asia, the Middle East. Some backward jet stream here continuing over the northern Indian Ocean. And here's your weather.gov map. If your county is lit, click your county. We've got some frost advisories in parts of Oregon. Parts of Oregon with a frost advisory there. Also parts of Northern California, Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont. All seeing some frost advisories here. If your county's lit, click your county at weather.gov. And let's take a look at the total accumulated precipitation forecast here for the next 72 hours based on a GFS model. Precipitation totals shown here in inches. Some heavy rains coming for Northern California there. Expecting like 4 inches in some spots. Again, that's your GFS 72-hour total accumulated precipitation forecast. And next we'll show the Western Atlantic. You can see right here, that is at least a foot of rain forecasted for the eastern portion of Dominica. Oh wait, that's Puerto Rico, I think. Anyway, whatever island that is expecting a foot of rain. At least it's not going to be a proper hurricane. But that's quite a bit of rain. That's going to be a suboptimal. We'll also show the temperature anomaly forecast since we have some frost advisories, and we can see some very hot weather coming to the central and north central portion of the U.S. there, expecting something like 16 degrees Celsius above the average. Keep in mind degrees shown here in Celsius. That's a 72-hour GFS temperature anomaly forecast. Some very cold weather coming to most of California there, expecting like 12 degrees Celsius below normal. And continuing on here, looking at waves here, and check it out. We've got some 35-foot waves south of Japan and some 30-foot waves in the Bering Sea. As that low pressure approaches the Bering Strait, this is the European forecast for waves. There's where things will be tomorrow. There's the European wind forecast, as that typhoon makes landfall on the southern islands of Japan. Here's your NASA GOES lightning mapper. Quite a lot of lightning there around Florida. And here's a real-time lightning map. We saw some activity here around Des Moines and north of Wichita. Some active cells there. Quite a lot of strikes happening. That's a real-time lightning map from lightningmaps.org. Check it out next time you hear thunder. Some lightning strikes at Omaha, Nebraska. And let's continue on to the U.S. Doppler radar map. And let's pause one more time for station identification. Congratulations on realizing that the channel exists, despite the pathetic censorship on the platforms. And thanks for leaving comments, Acrylic D, and General Disturbance. So here's the U.S. Doppler radar map. That's radar.weather.gov if you want to check it out yourself. Strong storms there moving across northern Iowa and also northern Kansas and southern Nebraska. Here's your shortwave radiation 3.9 nanometer satellite. It shows clouds and fog. It's still dark over the country, so we use that instead of visible satellite. And here's the water vapor. Some rapid convection happening here in these areas. You can see that sudden cloud formation happening there. And here is your recap. Vertical motion of water droplets in the air column from ground-based systems known as Doppler radar. Shortwave radiation showing clouds and fog. Looking foggy over northern Illinois. And last but not least, water vapor. Once again, thanks for tuning in to the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. I've been your host, Dan, a.k.a. Smash-O-Mash, signing off. And may that solar wind be at your back.